Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. What I've come to understand is that something is amiss. There is guaranteed to be an agenda or a hidden advantage for somebody else that would love to see us suffering. Oh man, it is hot out in this mother cuss word. It's hotter than Africa. And I know it's hotter than Africa because where I'm from gets hotter than Africa during the summer, and this now is hotter than where I grew up along the Gulf Coast in July. Good Lord, man, with this kind of heat, we're going to have some humidity soon. Goodness, sorry about that. I just walked out into the sunlight in this afternoon here, and I said, goodness gracious, this is no joke. This feels great, though, actually, to me, because I like heat. Now, what does it have to do with this? Well, let me tell y'all this. I'm an African. I've said this before. I am an American and I'm an African. The fact that I never lived in Africa is not my fault. The fact that I grew up in the United States is not my fault. My people built the U.S. FBA actually should probably be FBAA, because being a foundational Black American, well, I want to send your opinion. That's one of our cousins from Ghana I just spoke to. I'm sorry, to whom I just spoke. So in any case, as I was getting at, FBA probably should be FBAA because we do have Africa in our blood. We were taken out of Africa, and Africa was not taken out of us until they convinced us that we had nothing to do with Africa and that we had no rights in Africa. And I would say this: we have been trash talked by folks from other countries, and we've also been respected and looked up to by folks from other countries. And in all honesty, in North America, our nationality has been one of the most defiant. In South America, it's probably been the Black Brazilians and the Colombians together. In the islands, the Jamaicans are known for their defiance of oppression in general, which in their context is usually white supremacy. Within Africa, it's Nigerians that are known and so when you look at different parts of the Black world, you simply find that there are usually groups of us that wind up being some of the most defiant. And that normally has to do with how many of us there are and how able we are to organize. Nigerians speak a bunch of different languages. So long before the Brits were there, they had experience dealing with each other across linguistic barriers. Jamaicans, of course, have had English forced on them, and it became patois, which happened in our case and became AAVE, which happened in the case of Brazil with Portuguese, which happened in the case of Colombia with Spanish, and they still maintained certain African languages that became a mix that is now known as the Palanquero language. And I might even need to sit up and tell my wife that if she's not going to teach me Somali and she's not willing to learn Hausa or Swahili with me, then maybe I might have to start looking into the Palanquero language. And if I were able to learn it, I mean, if I were forced to leave here and I had to go back, couldn't live in another Muslim country, then I would probably try to find a way to live in Colombia as an educator and then document the Palanquero language as I learned it so that there will be literary sources for it. Maybe that would be the case. 4 hours a day explaining English, the other 4 hours a day documenting Palanquero, learning and documenting it as I learn it. Because if Black folks are going to need a lingua franca, I don't see why the Palanquero language should not be that. It doesn't have a political stigma associated with it. It doesn't even have a religious limitation placed on it or a religious identity placed on it that would cause a lot of us to argue. Hell, it would even cause me to argue. But it is simply one of resistance. Resistance against oppression. Specifically, the oppression against which we have had to resist the most, which is white supremacy. But I'm going to tell y'all now, to me, being FBA don't mean we ain't African. I don't want to hear that mess. No, it means we have equal rights to North America and to the African continent. African Jamaicans have the same thing, equal rights to Jamaica and the African continent. And many people from the continent of Africa actually believe this. If we're willing to go back with a willingness to simply relearn or readjust the land from which we were ripped, many of them are nice about it. They're okay with it. They don't have issue with that. They're okay with us going back. They just don't want to deal with attitudes of superiority or even attitudes of inferiority. Alaikum salam. And that's fair, because we say the same to them. Look, don't come over here acting like you better than us, and don't act like you inferior to the white man either. So we're really asking of each other the exact same mother cuss word thing. And I, for one, am determined to stand even while I have to correct certain members of other nationalities, just as they've had to correct certain members of us. And even while I refuse to accept this whole excuse of they were called African booty scratchers back in grade school, because they don't allow that excuse to be used as to why they should have a problem with white folk. If you bring up what little white kids did to them back in childhood, oh, that was childhood, you holding on to that. Okay, well, so let me get this straight. The gender war is not valid because it's us holding on to what the hell we learned in high school. But you can sit up here and bash other black people because someone called you African booty scratcher in elementary school, when in fact we did this to each other too. Why we, you and I, have to sit up and correct certain members of nationalities that are not us for talking down on us. And understand, these are the same individuals that will talk down on each other too. A Nigerian that looks down on African Americans looks down on Jamaicans, but they're so closely related. A Nigerian that looks down on African Americans can't stand a Ghanaian, because even though their countries have had a lot of interplay in their history, that Ghanaian, and that's very rare actually for them to talk down on other black folks. But if you find a Ghanaian that talks down on somebody other than a Nigerian, the funny thing is, he'll talk down on anybody. I've met a pan-African Sierra Leonean who straight up said, no, Jamaicans are lost people, just like African Americans. And I looked at him and the man said, yeah, y'all are lost. We all are. Who the hell is not lost if you've been colonized? Ethiopians repelled the colonialism, and sometimes they're lost as well because white supremacy don't stop. Now, what I did was I let him finish the sentence before I interrupted him. And that's why I was able to get this understanding from him that he wasn't really talking down on anybody. He was merely telling me that that Jamaicans were not this example of how to be an African to look at, nor were they an example of how to not be an African, an uncorrupted African, which I already knew, but he didn't know I knew that. So in a nutshell, what I'm getting at is that we don't really have a reason to start throwing each other under the bus. We have to remember that the distinction is normal and necessary and inescapable, and that's going to be there. God made that. But the division is not. And at the same time that we FBAs are hearing how we need to delineate and push away everybody else and that sort of thing, at the same time we FBAs are hearing this, I'm starting to hear how Kenyans are looking to Jamaicans as long lost cousins. Ugandans are walking around trying to speak patois. They're not speaking it like a Jamaican would, but they're trying to speak Jamaican English, greeting each other with this. It's become a status symbol. Screw the formal Queen's English they're forced to learn at school. What's up with that patois? The Kenyans, you have a tour bus in Kenya that is a tribute to Jamaica. It's been painted. You don't believe me? Go to African Awoke's YouTube channel and find this out. Open up Jamaican restaurants in Gambia and in Kenya, probably in Uganda too, in Zimbabwe. I mean, the way things are going, you got less than a generation left before Jamaica is asked to join either the alliance of the Sahel states if it becomes bigger than the Sahel region, or to join the African Union. Now, if it's not going to be the African Union because of the politics of the Union, in which they let Israel sit as an observing member, but they wouldn't let Haiti join because of its geographical position in the Caribbean, okay, fine. And that leads the alliance of the Sahel states or some other international African body. And one of the things is that I want to remind us of this, because it's time for me to go in and pray. So I'm gonna end it with this. Delineate and expect them to do the same, not for the sake of division, but for the sake of understanding the commonalities. And for the sake of being able to better facilitate cooperation, because we're going to need that when we're dealing with other folks. We're absolutely going to need this. Oh, you think that it's only going to be the white man that's going to have a problem with the AES? No, bro. It ain't just them. Trust you me. When Europe doesn't have a say-so against the AES anymore, China will step in and they'll try to redirect and derail and Tai Chi that situation. And I'm not saying Tai Chi because it came out of China, but I'm saying Tai Chi because that's an exercise in redirection. And they'll try that. They'll try it probably before Russia does. And they ain't even white. So keep that in mind, gentlemen. It's not a coincidence that one is being pushed. Go ahead and delineate, but not for the purpose of division. It's actually, this is the time for dialogue with other nationalities of black people. Not the time to just start shutting them down and we ain't got nothing to talk about. It's good that you're looking at non-black groups and saying, yeah, we don't have nothing to talk about. You got a problem with these white folk right now, and we don't give a rat's behind. That's okay. Because they ain't looking at us as equals, historically speaking and collectively. It's individuals amongst them that do. But go on ahead and start looking at the rest of them. And telling them your conversation's over. We're going to sort out whether or not you even need to be on our soil or not. And it is our soil. When it comes to other black folk, no. And I'm saying this as a man who could easily be excluded from such a conversation within our race, but across international boundaries. Even if it means that I were accidentally excluded from this, wrongly identified as an outsider, so be it. You need this. If you say, okay, fine, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and reach out and shake hands with that cat from Niger, with that brother from Mali, with that brother from Nigeria. And even though we have arguments, I'm gonna listen and hear them out as long as they'll do the same. But you know what, Jet Black? You out of this because we can't trust you. That's better than to sit up and say, yeah, man, F them folks, they not like us. And take their flags and start trying to crip walk on them. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase Jet Black's also a verb. Keep Jet Black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.